Hello, friends, and welcome to the No Bad Shifts podcast, a show for nursing students, new nurses, and all those in healthcare devoted to helping others and making the world for patients a better place. I'm Nurse Studa, your host, here to offer nursing tips, stories, motivation, and conversations with some of my favorite healthcare professionals so we can better learn to collaborate to make the hospital a more positive and supportive environment. Remember, with the right mindset, you really can learn from every day, and there really are no bad shifts. Hello, and welcome back to a brand new season of No Bad Shifts. I'm Nurse Studa, and I know it's been a little over 2 years, but I am so excited to be back here, back in this space to be able to share thoughts and feelings and ideas around nursing to help make you a stronger and more confident and empowered nurse so that you can show up as yourself in a space that feels authentic and really so that you can enjoy your days as a nurse and find meaning and growth along the way. So it is the beginning of January 2025, and I don't know about you, but it already feels like this year, this next season, whatever it is that we're in, that there is a lot of change coming. It felt like 2024 was really cruising along. Things were building so much momentum, and I do still believe that's in place. But at least for me, it feels like the start of this year is really reminding me of how important it is to be able to move with change, adapt to it, and stay grounded and focused while it's going on around you. It truly feels as we step into this new year, it is like we are stepping into a whole new era. And I've been feeling this coming for a while. And I think sometimes life will just really smack you in the face with it. Even though you think you're prepared, sometimes we really never are. And I think that's what I'm feeling right now and why I felt so pulled to make this episode, because there are things going on in my personal, professional life that have really thrown me off course. And I am actively sorting it out right here in this moment in real time. And it has really thrown me for a loop and has really made me question a lot of things. It's reminding me a lot of COVID times and when everything felt so uncertain and we were really not sure how to operate or move forward. We felt like there was no stability or no promises of what was really to come. And in the end, you really have to have your own back and you have to be very conscious and intentional about where you put your time and your energy and your effort. So I think that is what I was feeling going into this episode, being okay with stepping into a new era and maybe embracing and trying to realign your energy when changes happen, when you are forced into an uncomfortable or maybe undesirable situation, and how to move through that and find meaning and value for yourself. Sometimes I think we want to be so intentional and so sure about everything that's coming next and where we're supposed to go and what the future is supposed to look like. And we think that we're moving in a way that is true to that and is right. And I think one of the things that I've become so in tune with is listening to those messages from the universe, like what feels right, what feels in alignment, and what feels like it's the right next move. In the last few years, especially as a nurse, I've been leaning into saying yes to different things and trying new opportunities. And, maybe it wasn't necessarily like a hell yes, but it also wasn't a hell no. So I was kind of like, heck, let me check this out. And that has led me to so many cool opportunities that I never thought would be for me, or something that I would be able to dive into or embrace. I got asked to lead the hospital-wide skin and wound committee, where every month I get up, I talk in front of my peers and some leadership, and we talk about the trends going on related to pressure injuries in the hospital and new skin and wound tips or products or changes happening. And I have learned how to lead a meeting and do the chit chat on Zoom and send out meeting minutes to like 170 people and really engage everybody and bring new ideas. And it's been really empowering and not something that I probably would have thought I could necessarily do or would be the person for, because I do still feel young in my career in terms of people that have been there for decades. in my mind, they were the ones that led these kinds of meetings, not me, somebody who's been a nurse for only 5 years or less than 5 years. And from that, I had the chance to go to a magnet conference in Chicago and represent my hospital back in 2023. And it was just so incredible to be around 12,000 nurses that were just so energized and excited to be there and really just celebrate nursing as a whole. I came back with so many ideas, one of them being to start a whole new preceptor council from the ground up. It took a lot of work, took a lot of effort. But because of being the chair of Skin and Wound, I knew how meetings ran. I knew what would go into something like this. And with the help of a few other people in leadership, we were able to start a whole new council. And that has been something that I've been really passionate about, helping our preceptors so that they can help our new nurses. And it's something that I'm still really passionate about and is something that feels totally in alignment and is also something that takes up a lot of time and energy, but felt right for me and like something I really wanted to invest my time in. And now, fast forward, it's a brand new year and there are a lot of changes going on and changes that have directly impacted my dedication to the extra work that I do around there. And it has really put me in a position to reevaluate where my energy goes and what I'm doing. And things basically suddenly changed overnight. And of course, life is always changing. And sometimes it's for the better and sometimes it's not. And yes, when we're making positive changes and something changes overnight, great. That's something that we're choosing. We hope for that. But when something gets dropped on us that we're not expecting and it's not something that we would have chosen and actually negatively impacts us and impacts your day-to-day and your internal motivation and desire to want to give more, it puts you in a very difficult state of mind because for so long you feel like you're working within your control. What can you change? What can you bring into your life? What can you say yes to that is your choice? And then suddenly things feel out of your choice and how difficult that is and how angry that makes you and how sad and frustrated that makes you. I mean, truly, when big changes happen, you have to go through the stages of grief. And it's really difficult when it was all out of your control and there's really nothing that you can do to stop it. So to be transparent, my direct manager, he has been removed from his position and it has truly impacted me on a deep professional and personal level and my coworkers and peers. And it is just so disheartening because he is a huge reason why I have always felt so motivated and so encouraged and driven to just give so much because I had such a strong leader supporting me. I mean, he really instilled so much belief and confidence. And while I think those things were always there inside me, sometimes it takes somebody to help you bring those ideas to life and to make those connections and to say, yeah, sure, give it a shot, give it a try. I think you should say yes. He always made the time to listen to his employees and really just empathize with us and just validate our feelings because as floating nurses, sometimes we hit a lot of resistance. And the beauty of it is that he was a floating nurse. So to have somebody that leads you, that also understands the job, like the real job, is just so impactful. I always felt so valued and just appreciated for what I was doing. And of course, I feel that from my peers and other leaders as well. But he also understood how important other things were to me outside of work. I volunteer for a wellness and safety committee that involves some traveling once a semester. And I volunteer as an advisor. And I'm a super busy body and just have a lot of things that I want to do all the time. And he really supported that balance. And so everything that I got to do on my own for myself made me want to give back to the hospital and to the things I was involved in just as much. It's the reason I would spend hours and hours at home doing things and creating things and working on ideas to bring to the hospital. And until you have a really incredible manager, you honestly don't know how much that can so truly impact your day-to-day and your outlook on your whole job and career and time at the organization you're with. But everything I was doing for the hospital, it all felt so true and right for me. And it's because I had said yes to so many opportunities that more opportunities came up. And honestly, these last few years have been kind of life-changing for me as a person, as a nurse, the direction I see my future career going, as well as my personal life. And I work so hard to appreciate that and to embrace that. And I encourage you to say yes to opportunities because you may never know where they're going to lead you. And also to constantly be reevaluating where you feel like your life is bringing you joy and happiness. And literally 5 days ago, all of these things were bringing me so much joy and so much happiness because these other things were in place. And now suddenly one building block is removed and the desire and love that I have for some of these things does not go away, but my desire to want to continue to give so much time and effort of my own to these initiatives, I just don't know if it's there anymore. And that's really hard because it feels like I was so sure about the future of where I was headed for myself and my goals that I wanted to bring. And now it feels like I have decisions to make about what feels in alignment with me as a person and my energy and what I can give to something else when I know that it is all going to look different and support is going to look different. And my drive to want to support such an incredible leader is going to look different. And what do I do with that? To be honest, the last couple of days, I have felt really down. And when I say down, I really do just feel overall negative and frustrated and kind of resentful and just emotionally drained and exhausted. My entire team is feeling that. We're hurt. We're so sad. We feel defeated. And it's a really disappointing place to be in when you felt like you were just feeling so good and so excited about everything. Our team of floating nurses is just so involved in the hospital and lead a bunch of committees thrown around to so many different floors. We've been supporting the surge units. So many of our nurses are often put in charge. A lot of us help train brand new nurses on floors. And I just think we really care. We really show up. And we've spent the last couple years building such a strong team. And that is because we had such a strong leader. So to take that away and completely disband us really cuts to the core. And things like this happen. It happens in life. It happens in your career, happens with friends or family, happens in relationships. And how do we navigate this? These uncomfortable and sad and disappointing situations and just emotional environments and places to be in when you never asked for it. And this is not how it's supposed to be. Number 2 on my strengths list is positivity. But number 1 on my strengths list is developer. And I think that's something that I'm always striving to do is to develop myself in a way that is constantly growing and is constantly evolving and is changing my goals and changing my mind and leaning into how I can make the best of something with what is going on around me and the information that I'm given. And I think this situation has really amplified to me that it's okay to change your goals. It is okay to change your mind. It is actually a really good and healthy thing to change the direction of where your life is headed. You can always make a new decision. You can always change where you're going. You can always change what you think about something and can truly change the whole direction of your future going forward. And maybe that doesn't have to be so dramatic. It doesn't have to be this big whole thing where you flip your whole life upside down. But maybe you make a different decision. Maybe you say yes to something and start to say no to something else. Maybe you give up on a goal or dream even though you felt so strongly about it and really thought it was the thing that was meant to be. Abandoning something is really hard. Letting go of something is extremely hard, especially when you've already put so much time and effort and maybe money and energy and just parts of you that you will never get back, per se, in that exact exchange. But of course, everything that you learned through what you tried to do, whether this is a job, whether this is just some sort of project or initiative that you are trying to do for your job or your hospital or your unit or your own personal life. It's okay to recognize that maybe something isn't for you anymore and to just put it down, let it go, pass it off to somebody else. And if nobody else wants it, that's okay. Because if it's not going to continue to bring you the energy and excitement and the purpose that you need, it's okay to let that go and to realign yourself. It's okay to let go of a dream that you thought you really wanted to do. For so long, I always thought I was meant to be a travel nurse. I always thought that that was the goal for me, was to become a floating nurse, learn how to float around, and then go and be a great travel nurse. And then as my time at my hospital continued, I realized that isn't the end-all be-all goal for me. I actually have found so much meaning in the things that I have done at the hospital, and I would never have had that if I was a travel nurse. I have such a strong, amazing community around me with people that I've become such good friends with, and I've learned so much from so many mentors and leaders in my hospital that I would never have gotten that. I would have gotten different experiences being a travel nurse, which I'm sure would have been great. But for me, where I was at in my life, building community was incredibly important. Having people that I loved and trusted around me was something that I really, really value. And since then, I have completely let go of the idea of being a travel nurse, and that is all I've ever wanted to do or to be. And I've actually found, ironically, that by being at a place that I was so appreciated and valued, that there was flexibility in my schedule, and having a leader that was so supportive of what I was doing for the hospital, I was able to live my life in such a way that I've traveled more in my life the past year and a half than I have probably in my entire life. So I am a nurse and I am also a traveler. And it's amazing that I can embrace both worlds, which I wouldn't have predicted or planned or picked. But by saying yes and moving through my life, I was able to find both of these things that are incredibly important to me without just having to be a travel nurse. I think it's empowering and amazing to realign yourself, change your goals, maybe even remove people from your life that are no longer serving you. Maybe there are people who constantly make you feel down on yourself that you don't even realize, that are trying to stop you or hold you back or keep you in some box that you are never meant to stay in. But because you feel so loyal or so dedicated because of the time and the effort and just the conversations and all the energy that has gone into a relationship, it feels wrong to let it go. It feels like a failure to let it go. It feels like you're giving up, or you are somebody who can't handle hard things, or you are just someone who runs away. And I'm here to remind you that that is not true, that actually looking at situations or environments or people in your life and recognizing that they no longer or it no longer serves you is actually an act of self-love. It is not giving up. It is actually giving love to a part of you that probably needs it. And actually, very recently, I just learned about something called sunk cost fallacy. It's this concept from economics and psychology, but honestly, it is so applicable to our everyday life. And maybe this is something that you already know, but this nurse did not study business or economics. But basically, it's this idea that we tend to hold on to things, whether it is a job or a project or a relationship or even like a coat or a concert ticket, just because we've already invested time or effort or money into it, even though it may no longer serve us or bring us joy or excitement. But what's so interesting about it is that it is such a normal human thing to do, because we basically put more weight into something that we've invested in and maybe don't necessarily weigh as equally what we're getting out of something. So we feel bad about letting go because we don't want to waste what we've already put in. But the thing that I'm also actively learning is those investments are already gone. They're sunk costs. And what matters right now in this moment is deciding whether it's worth holding on to or if it's time to just let it go and move forward. But the thing is, when they are experiences or opportunities or even relationships that we have in our life, it's not like all that time is just lost and you have nothing to move forward with. You get to bring all of your experience with you. You get to bring all your memories with you and all the lessons that you've learned. And honestly, learning this whole concept has really helped me to realize that it's okay to let things go just because you spent so long in a relationship or with somebody or trying to bring an idea to life. If it's not exactly like what you want in your life and where you see your life moving forward, it's okay to just put it down or to let it go and to move on. Maybe it's even taking the time to look at friendships or relationships in your life that aren't romantic, that are no longer energizing you. Maybe it's even as simple as letting go of some hobby that you really wanted to pick up and invested a lot of money into for equipment or to memberships, and it's really just not what is making you happy. I know for me, at one point, I really wanted to be a gym goer. Like, I had 2 different gym memberships at the same time, and I never went. But I felt like because I had invested in the startup fee and all these other things that go with it, that I should just keep holding on because maybe one day I would get back to it. But I realized actually that isn't what makes me happy. So finally, I just cut both of them. Even though the people at the desk tried to make me feel guilty, I knew I was not going to come. And what I actually have gone back to now is dancing with my childhood dance teacher for a half an hour once a week. And that has brought me so much more joy and excitement about doing something physically to move my body, and actually feels like so much more of an investment in myself. And I don't even think about the fact that I've wasted so much money paying for a gym membership for months and months that I never used. So if there's any areas in your life that feel like are just not adding to you and building you up in any way, it's okay to move along. Maybe it'll help you to actually make a sunk cost list. What are things that you find yourself holding on to because you feel guilty or because you put so much effort in the past that you feel bad about not pursuing it in the future? And really take a look at that and see if that's something that you want to keep and continue in your life, or just let it go. Because either way, the time is gone. The money is gone. It already happened. You won't get that back. But what you can do right now is make a different decision going forward. You get to choose the next space that you walk into, and you get to decide what you bring with you when you go there. So I think at the end of this, and particularly where I'm at right now, currently in my exact life, is just slowing down, taking a breath, and really feeling my feelings. I've just let myself be down and sad and cry, just knowing that things are going to change, and I really wasn't ready for them to change. I didn't want them to. I was really happy and so excited where things were going, and I'm so frustrated, and I feel like I keep flipping back and forth between the stages of grief, of depression and anger, because it feels out of my control. So there really is no denial or bargaining, and I'm honestly not ready to accept this yet. So some things that have helped me along through this process, for one, it is feeling my feelings. I think it's so important to just let yourself be sad, be hurt, be angry, think this is unfair, hate what is going on around you. I'm even allowing myself to just be negative, even though that's really not in my nature, and kind of feel hopeless at the moment, even though I know I won't stay there forever. And when it comes down to it, I am hopeful for the future, and I know that things will all make sense later and everything will turn out okay. But in this moment, to just feel it because that's what I feel right now, and to also just let that out and talk to other people. Talk to the people, for one, around me that are also feeling very similar feelings, and also to lean on some of my mentors that I have who can look at me and give me sound advice even though it may not be in the best interest for the things that I was committed to before, but to remind me that I have choice, that what I decide to give of my own time and energy is my choice. And that has been really empowering to me. I've also listened to a lot of music. If it helps, make a playlist of what you're feeling right now with some of your favorite artists. Actually, a while back, a friend and I, we made a whole Taylor Swift collection of the stages of grief. And also, this is before Taylor Swift made her own collection of the stages of grief. But we had our own, and it's denial with Tay, and anger with Tay, and bargaining with Tay. And it's actually been so therapeutic to go back into that space with a preset playlist and just go back and forth to what I'm feeling. I've been thinking about things from different perspectives. I've really been trying not to just sit from just my viewpoint alone. I've really been trying to look at things from outside myself, from the people around me that were also affected by this, how my choices will impact other people, because this helps me to feel confident in my decisions moving forward, knowing that I have thought this through. I've looked at different angles and different reasonings behind why probably these decisions have been made. Not that I empathize with that or that's okay to me. It does just help to shift my perspective and my energy so that it isn't all solely sitting inside me and focused on just me. Ultimately, like heightening what I am seeing and feeling. It kind of puts it into a more level playing field and recognizing that other people make decisions that is strictly business. And I too will make decisions for myself that maybe are strictly business. I also have been trying to just shift into the perspective of my higher self. Like, what would best version Lindsay Duda probably tell me, current me right now? Like, what lessons will she say that I need to learn from this? Or in what ways this might be healthy for me to put energy back onto myself? Or just the fact that this is a part of life that we have to work through and learn how to navigate, even though it sucks, even though it's not fun, and even makes us feel like we are just victims in some environment, because we are not. Things are always going to be happening to us, and it is our responsibility and job to make the choices in our power to make it better for ourselves, because we truly cannot depend on other people to fix our situation. It is up to us to create our own happiness. And then I think the last thing that I'm really kind of working with, and is the part that is going to be a little bit tougher for me, is allowing myself permission to really change direction and maybe to abandon some things that I have put a lot of time and effort into. And I know that's what I just said, that we all should consider, and that sunk cost is a thing. And it's also really hard when it's something that you care about and love and feel like has a bigger goal. But maybe life is telling you to zoom out and see where your future direction really lies. And just because you had a vision 3 days ago doesn't mean you can't have a new one tomorrow. And to just take the time and space that you need if you do decide to give up on something, to find the words and the voice that feels accurate to you. Because some people have no problem being super blunt and moving right along. And for some of us, it's a little bit harder. So it's about finding the right words and the tone, and not that you have to explain yourself to other people, but to understand in your own heart why it is you're making the decisions that you're making, and being able to articulate that in a way that feels good coming from you. I think for me, as I sit in this space, I'm really reflecting on how, sure, I might have committed to things in the past, but that was under a specific set of circumstances. And now, suddenly, those circumstances have changed. So I believe it's in my own right that I too am allowed to take a step back and reevaluate and reassess the situation. Because I was planning to stay committed to the things I was doing. But when things change around me, I believe I deserve the time and space to reconsider too. And to me, that's the words that feel right if and when I decide I want to share and explain this to somebody else. And then lastly, just to be really conscious about what mental state or place you're sitting in. Because while, yes, I think it's so important to feel your feelings, just be careful about getting caught up in a negative spiral or the dark place for too long. Sometimes our minds can trick us and we want to put a lot of energy towards being angry or yelling about why we think something or someone is wrong and how we want justice for something. And if there's a time and place to advocate for that, great. But if it is going to just drain you more and keep you from moving forward, then it might be worth reconsidering if that's really how you want to spend your energy. Feel your feelings, move through it, but stay aware that you don't get stuck, or at least don't get stuck for too long, so that you can make it through this process and look up and find yourself in a new space, a new position, and actively moving into the next phase or era of your life. So I invite you, if you are experiencing like a big, large, dramatic shift in your life that was unexpected, I invite you to just slow down, feel it, feel everything around it, and to just really be kind and gentle on yourself while you step into whatever is next for you. And if it helps you to just take time and pause and reflect and talk it out and maybe make some smaller decisions before you make big decisions, then that's okay. And maybe to just really use this time to reflect on all the different aspects in your life and what is truly bringing you joy and fulfillment. Look at big things and look at small things. And don't be afraid to just be a little lighthearted and maybe add some play into your life, especially when there's so many things in the forefront of your mind that feel so big and heavy and taxing. I think as adults, we sometimes minimize the idea of play and having fun and doing things just for the sole purpose of doing them for fun. And I think it's especially important when you're navigating change and maybe even reevaluating your path to kind of go back to the core of who you are and what does make you excited. Sometimes our life pivots, and while we can't understand right now in the moment, I wonder if someday we'll look back and realize that the new direction led us in a whole new way that maybe we wouldn't have planned for ourselves, but will make sense then. And even if you're not going through a big life change, maybe just using the new year as a chance, an opportunity to really just look at your life as a whole. Look at all these aspects of the things and people and environments and socially and physically and energetically, like what's going on around you and what are you feeling inside and where is it that you might want to make a change. And I invite you to lean into that and to really give yourself permission to change, to evolve as a person, to let go of expectations of yourself that maybe are just not for you anymore. When I originally started this podcast and called it No Bad Shifts, it was literally meant to represent the idea that I don't believe in bad shifts at work. My 12.5-hour days, I didn't believe in bad days of work, which I still stand by, even with the incredibly disappointing shift that we had the other day. But it is funny now, 2 years later, how I feel like this has grown inside of me to also represent that there are no bad shifts in our life, that we are not only allowed, but it is a good thing to realign ourselves. And there really are no bad redirections. There are only lessons and things to learn from shifting perspective and shifting our path in life, because you can always take another path. You can always make another decision. And all of that is just another step in your journey. So wherever you might find yourself starting 2025, or whenever you are listening to this episode, I hope you are kind and gentle on yourself. Give yourself time and space to breathe. And no matter where your next step is or what the next journey looks like for you, may you find light in every shift. Until next time.